November 10th, 2025. It was supposed to be just another evening in the heart of New Delhi, but then a massive explosion just ripped through the city, and the shockwaves were felt really all around the world. So today, we're going to break down the anatomy of this terror attack, from the blast itself to the huge global investigation it kicked off.
The first number you need to know, and it's just a tragic one, is 13. 13 people lost their lives in that blast, and that includes the person who was likely driving the car. This right here is the devastating human cost at the center of this story.
So, how did this all go down? Well, it unfolded over a few hours. We know from CCTV that a car was parked sometime in the afternoon, and then at 6:52 p.m., right when the evening rush was still happening, it just detonated. It turned a crowded, busy public space into a scene of absolute chaos and horror in an instant.
All right, let's start by digging into the specifics of exactly what happened right there at the entrance to the Red Fort metro station.
The weapon here wasn't some high-tech device. It was something you see every single day. A white Hyundai i20. But this car was packed with explosives, turning it into an incredibly destructive bomb. It's just a stark reminder of how horribly effective a weapon like this can be. The blast was so powerful it set nearby cars on fire and caused major damage to the area. And out of all that smoke and confusion, one of the largest investigations in recent memory got underway. It was a massive, massive effort to figure out who was responsible for this.
And that, of course, became the single most important question for India's National Investigation Agency, the NIA. Who could possibly have planned and pulled off an attack this deadly?
And the answer they found, well, let's just say nobody saw this coming. The main suspect they identified was a man named Dr. Umar un-Nabi, a doctor. And they confirmed it because his DNA matched the remains they found at the blast site.
The weapon he allegedly used has a technical name, a VBIED. That stands for Vehicle-Borne Improvised Explosive Device. And it's a chillingly simple idea, right? You just turn the car itself into the bomb's delivery system. In this case, it's believed to have been tacked with an ammonium nitrate-based explosive.
Now, the scale of the official response here was just immense. I mean, the NIA launched this sprawling operation, and they ended up conducting raids on over 500 different locations.
And to do that, they deployed 50 of their senior officers to lead the charge across multiple states. We're talking Jammu and Kashmir, Haryana, Uttar Pradesh.
And they organized all of this into 10 distinct investigation teams. So you can see, this wasn't just a simple inquiry. This was a full-blown, highly coordinated manhunt for a whole terror network.
So what's all this digging turning up? Connections. Lots of them. The trail seems to be pointing towards some established militant groups like Jaish-e-Mohammed and Ansar Ghazwat-ul-Hind. But what's even more alarming are the links to foreign handlers, people based out of Turkey, Pakistan, and Dubai.
Okay, so we've talked about the what and the who, but now we need to get into the why. Why is this one attack so incredibly significant? What are the bigger implications here?
Well, for one, the entire world was watching. The attack immediately drew global condemnation. The U.S. Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, he came out right away and called it a heinous terror incident, which really shows you how seriously this was taken on the world stage.
So, was this a tragic but isolated act, or was it something much, much more sinister? Investigators are pretty sure it's the latter. The evidence is pointing to the idea that this wasn't a one-off attack, but actually part of a coordinated terror module that was planning a whole series of strikes across multiple Indian cities.
And this leads to what might be the most disturbing trend this whole attack has brought to light: the rise of the white-collar terrorist. The fact that the prime suspect is a highly educated doctor, well, that signals a really frightening shift in the kind of person being drawn to extremism. And the fallout from this? It spread. And it spread fast. Beyond just the symbolic hit on the nation's capital, the university connected to the suspect had its membership suspended. And now authorities are on high alert, watching for any potential communal backlash, especially with all the misinformation flying around online.
But look, even with everything they've found, this case is nowhere near closed. There are still some huge critical gaps in the story that investigators are working around the clock to try and fill.
I mean, some major questions are still just hanging out there. What was the ultimate motive? Was Dr. Umar on a suicide mission, or was this a timed bomb? Just how deep and how wide does this terror network actually go? And of course, the big logistical puzzle. How on earth were these explosives bought, moved, and put together?
When you put all the pieces together, you've got this chilling combination: the guidance of foreign handlers and the expertise of an educated professional who was willing to carry out the attack. And all of that forces us to confront a really sobering question. What does this deadly new combination signal about the future of terror?